Hello and welcome to Independent Podcast Service. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we are discussing Kolchak the Night Stalker, the episode entitled The Werewolf. This episode originally aired November 1st, 1974. Let us start off with what was the number one song on the radio this week, Dave? Early November of 74.
Around then. My mind has a couple ideas, but nothing I could specifically name, give the artist of, or even hum a couple of notes from.
So it is You Haven't Done Nothing by Stevie Wonder.
Oh. Yeah, that tracks. So, yeah, again, it's a case of not hearing the song. It's a case of not sure which one it would be.
Yeah, I'm not either. Moving right along, number one film in America this week, Dave.
Film-wise around that time.
It's a sports film. And it's one that's previously come up.
I'm thinking, well, with those particular hints, makes me think it was the thing that's coming to mind is The Longest Mile, which I wasn't sure was the one that was from last week, but...
It's The Longest Yard, but yeah, it's that movie again. It left the number one spot, and a couple other movies took over, and then it came back.
Oh.
The two that took over from it was... we might have talked about this, but Cabaret... And then Airport 1975, which is a disaster film.
No, it's a film genre.
Yes, but there is some big stuff coming near the end of the year, which will be interesting. Both films Sorry?
Which, again, around the 70s. Not too surprising. There were a couple big heavy hitters at the time.
I'm wondering if you've seen either of these films when we get to them. That'll be interesting. Anyway. Let us move on to the episode. So, I don't really have a great synopsis for this because there isn't a good one online and I was too lazy to write one. But, here's what we've got. When a tax audit interrupts Vincenzo's plans to take a cruise ship vacation, he sends Kolchak in his place to follow up on a story about swinging singles. Kolchak becomes more interested in a series of mutilations that begin to take place on the ship, perpetrated by a creature that seems to be half man, half wolf. Grr. So yes, there's a werewolf on board the ship that is mauling and killing people. And
because, supposedly it's a thing.
Yes, okay. So, first off, I want to talk about the werewolf makeup. Was this thing supposed to look scary?
It was one of those particular things, like, the camera shots and whatnot that they did with them did not really do it justice. And additionally, it was the 70s and they only had so much to kind of go with at the time, but nevertheless,
because he looked like a cute little puppy.
Like, on the one hand, they tried, but oh my god.
Like, I was like, you could just come sit by the couch and I would scratch your ears. It looked like a puppy. It looked like a man-shaped puppy. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this did have that one stunt that I referenced last time where the guy, I was slightly wrong on it. So I thought he took a bump onto some pallets, but it's actually this like wooden like scaffolding or something he goes through, and then I swear he lands on his neck.
Yes, with that one. I did see that. It was a little bit like, were they specifically expecting that wood to break? Because if they weren't expecting it, it's like, use something stronger. And secondly, if they did, it's like, you didn't have anything really to break his fall.
Yeah, why wasn't there a crash mat and then you just don't see him land? Because He ate shit straight onto concrete.
Yeah, that definitely didn't turn out all that good.
My favorite
But
other
at
one.
the very least, there was the one person that was thrown into the pool, and at least with that, they swapped it out with a dummy.
Yeah, there's one where it's very clearly a dummy, and there's another one where they chuck somebody off like a railing, but you don't see them land, so there's just a crash mat there for them to fall onto, and it's not a big deal. But this guy, I hope he got paid a shit ton of money because he ate shit onto concrete.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very, very good. So, what did you think of this episode, Dave?
But additionally, it was also fairly interesting. It's always interesting with seeing stories take on different locations for their proximity, how things will kind of work out from there. And always with a ship is always an interesting sort of place to put a story. And especially with the case of Kolchak coming in and having booked or getting booked a double room with that particular couple and whatnot there. It was definitely interesting and kind of gave an introduction to, ooh, there's going to be some characters on this boat.
Yeah, ships are always interesting because it's, especially when you're doing like something like this, like a horror story or like a murder mystery, because like you've confined everybody to kind of one location. Like you can't just get away. Like a cabin in the woods, you can just drive away to the city. Whereas if you're on a cruise ship, like you can't just get off the ship.
Well, you could, but that also goes to the problem of how do you survive in the ocean?
Well, yes, that.
Yeah. I think another particular thing, sadly, the couple of names escape me, but the female assistants that Kolchak picks up was definitely interesting with her information that she kind of went with, how she sort of went with discussions of things. It was definitely interesting to see in that sort of case, but I think hands down, best interaction that he had was with the captain. With he tries to get in, fakes the fact that he's his son, and the captain's like, "Shit, my son's on the ship. Who the heck is using that?" And their interactions.
Yeah, no, their interactions are really good, and I do like Kolchak's little friend that he makes on this, where she relates everything to a movie.
Yeah, her expertise.
Yeah, that was fun. I like seeing Kolchak make these like one like episode appearance kind of like assistants or like helpers. I think that's kind of like a fun dynamic that you can bring in every once in a while.
And it's always interesting the kind of case that how does he kind of persuade them to assist in those sort of cases? Because there's always a way. There's always something that he figures out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So we do have some guest stars in this. Was there anybody?
I was surprised with the cast that was there.
Was there anybody that you like recognized? Because there's one sort of big name on it.
Sadly, with the couple people that I saw, just either from the age at the time or my experience with seeing their work, nothing that I immediately recognized.
Oh, okay. Because I wasn't sure if you would or not. See, I don't know if you're going to be super familiar with some of these people. That's kind of the issue. Because, like, Bob Hoskins has a role in this, but I'm like, I don't know if you know who Bob Hoskins is. Or Bob Hastings, sorry, not Hoskins. Bob Hastings.
Ah, okay.
Because he did the voice for, like, he was Commissioner Gordon for, like, a long-ass time. Like, from, like, Batman the Animated Series to, like, 2003-ish.
I see. And again, in those sort of cases, you figured I'd sort of remember, but it's a case of I somewhat know, but it kind of comes and goes depending on the information that comes in.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And there's a few others where it's like, oh, okay, that person did like a bunch of like one-off TV appearances, but I'm not gonna bother bringing up all of those people because there's a lot that are like, oh, that's that guy from that thing, kind of. kind of deal, where it's like, oh, I've seen them in a bunch of stuff, but you wouldn't know their names. So, did you have anything else about this episode?
Nah, not with this one. It's interesting enough seeing different change of setting, and especially kind of around Christmas time with a little bit of festivities, and then, haha, rain on his parade.
Yes, indeed. So next week, we'll be discussing an episode called Firefall. Any idea what this might be about, Dave? Any guesses?
Not immediately, no.
Well, I don't blame you because I wouldn't expect you to. So this is going to involve the ghost of an arsonist who tries to take over a renowned conductor's body as his doppelganger and kills a number of the conductor's associates by spontaneous human combustion.
I'm not too surprised. But then that last little bit just pushed it right over into the, is this going to be the one episode of Kolchak that's going to kind of push the area of belief for this particular series?
Well, Dave, I'm going to give you a little preview of some of our upcoming episodes. Just so we're going to have a ghost arsonist. We're going to have a politician who worships Satan. We're going to have a shaman spirit. We're going to have a hospital built on reclaimed land inhabited by a Native American bear god. We're going to have an android. We're going to have a witch. We're going to have a headless motorcycle rider. We're going to have the spirit of a knight who reanimates his suit of armor. Oh, and my personal favorite, we're going to have Helen of Troy. This show gets kind of wacky.
On the one hand, I probably shouldn't be surprised, but still, that little part of my brain is kind of in disbelief. But I suppose it shouldn't.
There's some good shit coming up.
Oh, boy. But anywho's, I suppose we'll just have to deal with the ghost shenanigans next week.
Yes. So until next week, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.